health. Kay worked at the national level for many years promoting health. 10 years ago, she opened her own practice to bring her passion and purpose to helping individuals bring change into their lives by making better choices. She specializes in helping people who are frustrated with extra weight, bad eating habits, and fad diets, and lack of energy and vitality. Kay helps people live their full, authentic life by creating a customized program that yields real, lasting results. She uses practical tools, the latest science, technology, and a step by step process to help you overcome inner and out blocks that hold you back from living a healthy, sweet life that comes from a healthy relationship with food. Currently, Kay is introducing some new ways to reduce stress and get healthier using the concept of mindfulness that she'll be sharing with us today. Hi, Kay. We're excited to have you join us and our FB Live crew.
Yay. Yeah, I am so happy to be here. I'm just can't believe this day has come. And, you and I started talking about a possible collaboration when we first were talking and we realized we were both had a passion about women's health. So, and now here we are at New Year's. We're only 10 days into the new year, right? It's still a little baby of a year. And we still, a lot of us may still be working on those New Year's resolutions. And of course, it's always possible to hit the restart button. And speaking of hitting a button, I am going to share my screen right now and get this slideshow going so that you can have some visuals to go along with our presentation. And I'm going to start with kind of a silly question. How many of you out there have ever tried to lose weight? And how many of you maybe know somebody who's been on a diet? Yeah. Well, this year, 122 million Americans adults will attempt to lose weight. And unfortunately, 97 million of them will be gravely disappointed and frustrated. And, this year with COVID, with the 19, with the pandemic, even more people are struggling with their weight. And as Janine just introduced me, hi, I'm Kay Lowry, a registered dietitian and a healthy eating coach with 30 plus years of experience helping people with their health. And yes, indeed, I help people build a healthy relationship with food. And the thing, though, was that I had to start with myself. And here I was, and here I am today. And here I was at 8 years old with my little dog, Coco. And when I was 8 years old, I started eating, but it really wasn't eating. I was hiding because something bad had happened to me. And I didn't want anyone to know it. I was hiding. I was hiding the truth. And you know how I was fixing it? How I was fixing this thing that was wrong? It was by eating my mom's pies, cakes, and cookies. And I mean, she made the best chocolate chip cookies in the world. And I'll just give you a little snippet of insight into how that went. And just take like a Saturday afternoon when I was a kid, I'd walk out of my bedroom, peek into the kitchen, and I'd see my mom pouring chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips, into a bowl, dropping the cookies, putting them in the oven. And then there was the aroma of the melting chocolate, the butter, the brown sugar. And I was in heaven because I knew chocolate chip cookies were on the way. She pulled them out of the oven, took them into on her breakfast table, put them out on a paper towel and said, okay, I was called Kathy then, you can have some cookies. And I looked down and I picked one up and I put it in my mouth. And it was warm and it was chewy and it was sweet and it was chocolatey. And yes, that's how I knew my mom loved me. And, you know, doesn't every child want to know, what does every child want to know from their mom? You know, and the, I'll call it a terrible thing is there were no limits on how many she let me eat. So that's, you know, and instead of getting the protection I needed as a young child, I got the cookies. And that kind of isolated me. And I didn't have the relationships I wanted to have. And I didn't have the relationship I wanted to have with my mom. And then the cravings began. And a little bit later on, my weight started fluctuating and I was up and down, up and down, up and down. Oh boy. And after a while, though, I was, you know, growing up and wasn't in the house as much. And I met someone, and it was a perfect relationship. I mean, it was delicious. And we could party together, let me tell you, just the two of us. And we became like best friends. Can you guess who it was? Well, it was Hostess because I love their ding dongs, their Twinkies, and their donuts. And they love the money that I was spending with them. But you know what? Even more, I love the snowballs. Did you ever have those? I'm going to ask you to raise your hand on this. Did you ever have those snowballs? I love the pink ones with the coconut on the outside. And I know some of you probably have had them because they're still on the market. I went to Giant Foods just a month ago and I found those pink snowballs and I wasn't tempted, but has there ever been a time in your life when there was something that you just didn't want to face? Like maybe a sick child, maybe a boss, or even your own health. But at the same time, you knew you had to face it. Yeah, and I've been there too. And all the time, I was playing that game of hide and seek. And here's a little guy, he's playing that backyard game of hide and seek. And I wonder how many of you ever played that game when you were little. And boy, oh boy, I was playing that game of hide and seek as a kid with all the ding dongs, the Twinkies, and the snowballs. And then later on, as I grew up. So I was hiding behind the truth, and I didn't want to let anyone in because I was protecting my family. And that was my first and most important job, was to hide the truth. And so I put on a suit of armor, you know, can you remember the clunky armor that's kind of from the medieval knights? It was like that. And I kept it on all those years. And the most important relationship of my life was with my husband. And you know what? The relationship with my husband was horrible. It was horrible. Why? Because I was hiding. And after the millionth argument, I said, something's got to change. And I sat on that couch and I just cried. And I said, oh, I think this relationship is just over because I just can't do this anymore. And so the next day, I woke up and I got up and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And it was just a moment of courage and insight when all my fear and hiding vanished. And I knew that I needed help. And I got help. I got the help I needed. And the coach that I worked with, she helped me see why I was making the choices I was making. And she showed me how to appreciate who I really was and how to look in the mirror and love who I saw. And thank goodness for her. And I am going to tell you that this is what turned my life around. And this is how I was able to change my life. And this is part of why I'm here today, because I changed my life. And I want you to know that you can change your life too. And that change is available to you. And I'm going to show you how to make these kinds of changes with some techniques I'm going to show you that changed my life and that can change your life and your health by taking a stand for yourself. A famous Japanese author, Haruki Murakami, once wrote, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional." Optional? Yes, it's optional. We have a choice whether or not we want to suffer, and we can make a change happen. And in my career, I worked in health and nutrition for 30 years. I worked with big organizations like NIH, the National Institute of Health, and AARP, and a number of others. And I was working on nutrition and health and making six figures. And you know what? What I was seeing is that what was in place was not empowering people. It was not helping them with their health. And people were getting, and still are actually, getting sicker and sicker. And with things, the skyrocketing rates of diabetes and obesity. And I was shocked when I looked at the statistics about diabetes. And over a 57-year span, that we've had an astronomical increase. 1957, when I was just a little girl, only 1.6 million Americans were diagnosed with diabetes. Well, by 2015, it had increased to 23.4 million Americans. It's shocking because that is an astronomical 1,463% increase in 57 years. So, why was that happening? Well, I strongly believe that the food industry was churning out, the food products filled with fat, sugar, not just any fat, but saturated fat, sugar, and salt, were encouraging people to overeat. And they were putting money in their pockets with this. And then what happens? People got sick with things like diabetes. And then they have to go to the doctor, don't they? And when they go to the doctor, they've got to have health insurance. And the health insurance industry is the fifth most profitable industry it was in 2020. And so the insurance companies were putting money in their pockets. And then when we got to the doctor and we had to have medications, well, the pharmaceutical company was putting more money in their pockets. And yet it all goes back to the food industry that in 2019 had $5.75 trillion of sales. And that's from both the groceries and the restaurants. So why not keep more money in our own pockets, right? So we can keep our health and we can have our well-being and we can have more money to boot instead of going to the doctor every other week and not having the energy we want to have to play with our kids and our grandkids and not having the weight that we don't want to have. And you know what? There was such a big gap, and there still is, between what the health experts say we should be eating and what's being sold as food. And guys, I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it. And that's when I left my job and went into business for myself. And that was 9 years ago. And that's why I created Sweet Life Wellness. I wanted people to be able to live in the sweet spot of their life. And What do I mean by that? Well, I mean being able to appreciate who we really are and being able to look in the mirror and love who we see and being able to build that healthy relationship with food. So, you know what? I knew there had to be a better way, and that's why I do what I do. And I want to tell you about a couple of the people I've worked with. First, Daphne. Daphne was she was something. She was 25 pounds overweight and she had prediabetes and she had no energy. And she told me she could eat a pie a day and she wanted a different life. And we did an assessment with her and we came up with a plan for her and she implemented the plan and she stayed accountable. That's what made all the difference. And she ended up losing 25 pounds and having more energy than anybody I have ever worked with. And then there was Bria, who you see here, the young lady with her hands up. And when she came to me, she said, well, I want to stop having food control my life. And we did an assessment. We found out that she was a young professional. And every time she had a problem with her boyfriend, a disappointment in a relationship, she went kind of on an eating binge, I'll call it, and eating the foods, which we'd call probably junk food. And, I mean, bad things can happen. And, her boyfriend, cheated on her, things like that. And that just took her, into a tailspin. So we created a plan for Bria and we created a way to use mindfulness, to use breathing exercises and meditation. And then she was able to go through her the process she was going through with the relationship she had, and she was able to make better choices. And it was just sheer delight to work with Bria. And as a result of working with me, she lost 12 pounds. And she said, I am most proud of the mental fitness I completed during this process and how much stronger I feel as a result. I am making choices and creating habits that are leading to better healthcare. Bravo, Bria. That's exactly what we're looking for. And so, what about some of the other people who I've worked with? A lot of times they're stressed. I mean, we're all stressed, right? We've got a pandemic, we've got political problems, we've got personal issues, job issues. I mean, they are stressed and they just want something to snack on. They just want some way to soothe themselves. And yet they don't always make the best choice. I'll tell you that. And they soothe themselves not only with food, but with things like alcohol, cigarettes, and drugs. And yes, there is an alternative. There is a better way. And that's what I do with my clients. I help them make better choices. But, letting go of those old routines and creating new habits can seem hard and it can seem uncomfortable. And a lot of us don't like to feel uncomfortable. And it's just easier to fall back into the old habits and grab that donut instead of the apple, right? And do things like sit in front of the TV and just eat some chips. But if we want to make changes and we want to have a better life, we need to let ourselves feel uncomfortable so we can make change happen. And Brene Brown, who is really a researcher and author, has written this beautiful quote that says, discomfort is the way back home. Absolutely agree with that. And we also need to get in touch with who we really are, what we really want, and our emotions. And Vivek Murthy, the former U.S. Surgeon General, and I think he's proposed as the new one. He's a mental health advocate who once asked an audience, How many of you look at emotions as a source of weakness? And nearly everybody raised their hands. And he said, this is a paradigm that we need to change in this country. That's right. I totally agree with that. We need to understand and accept our emotions as a helpful source of power so that we can get the results that we want to have. And I have some tools, and Janine has already mentioned the tools that we've just come out with. So these are tools to help you make better choices. And so one of these tools is our new podcast series. The first episode came out last Tuesday, so you can, it's the first ever podcast series we've ever had. And it is called Living Your Healthy Sweet Life. You can find it on YouTube, find it on my Facebook fan page called Sweet Life Wellness. And I started this because of all the frustration people are expressing about how hard it is to change a habit and make a new habit stick. And this is really important now when so many of us may be just about to give up on our New Year's resolution, but don't do that. We have a way that you can make it last all year long. But if you've already given up, we can help you set the reset button. So the series is designed to help you make better choices, create new habits, and have the health that you want to have. And so we're showing you how to master change and create new habits to live a healthier life. And one of my clients, Lauren, here's how she described that frustration. She had a very stressful day, lots of questions from her clients. She got home, she pulled the chips out of the cupboard. She ate, and then looked down. The bag was gone. And she said, why did I eat this? I didn't even want them. I wasn't even hungry. It was just mindless eating. So that's what we're talking about here. And instead of mindlessness, we're looking for mindfulness. And mindfulness has helped me so much. And it's also helped the people I've worked with to make the changes they want to make. And I will tell you that before I ever started in nutrition, I was embarking on mindfulness, and that time was called meditation. And so probably I've been meditating for about 40 years. So lots of experience with how it can help with making changes and bring a calmness and peace. So that's why we're starting the series with some mindfulness episodes, because it's really just so important to making change happen. And what mindfulness means is really paying attention to the moment we are in right now. And it can bring us to a place where we feel much less stressed and where we can begin to release the old habits. And here's a wonderful quote that really sums up what mindfulness means. It's from Eckhart Tolle, his book, The Power of Now. And he wrote, as soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolve, and life begins to flow with joy and ease. That's what we're looking for, right? That's absolutely. So at the end of our talk, we may have time to try out just one of these techniques if we have time. And next Sunday, we're going to be back with you, and we're together going to be looking at the first podcast episode, doing a little meditation and some other exercises so you can actually take action on making those changes and bringing those changes into your life. So looking forward to having you back then. And just to close out, I want to tell you that I saw my mom make thousands of cookies and hundreds of pies and everything else. And I found out later that my mom was also hiding behind food. And guys, what's one thing every child wants to hear from their mom? The words, I love you, right? And my mom never said those words to me, and one point, I really needed that. And she baked me all that stuff, but she never told me that she loved me. So when I got the help I needed, one of the things I got help with was why I was making those unhealthy choices. And I don't know why my mom made the choices that she made, but I will tell you this, that as long as I have a breath to take and I can speak the knowledge I have to help people, I'm going to help them make better choices and lose the weight they want to lose and have the healthy, sweet life that we are all gifted to have. So, how about this? No more hide and seek. No more avoiding the changes you want to make. It's time to stand up for yourself and take action. That's what it takes to change your life. You can do this. You can change your life starting today. So I want to thank you for the honor of speaking with you today. And, I'll be happy to answer questions, but I just want to check in and see if I know I had 30 minutes, if we have probably about 2 or 3 minutes to try out a mindfulness technique. So, Janine, what do you say?
I say, let's go for it. I think
All
we would
right.
all appreciate an opportunity to go through a mindfulness technique.
All right.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
So, sure. So, this is really kind of a fun technique that I picked up when I was watching a online program that was sponsored by Pema Chodron. She's a Tibetan Buddhist nun, and she is actually from Kansas, and she's written a wonderful book, several books. I like this one. It's called When Things Fall Apart: Heart Advice for Difficult Times. So she's a very straightforward, and her work is beautiful. Um, in this particular case, I'm just going to ask you to sit, but you can do this either sitting or standing, and you can do this just to release some stress. It creates some mental openness. But you could do this, let's say 3 or 4 times a day. You could do this in your office, you can do it at home. So the way we do this is just so simple, you won't even believe how good it is. So I'll show you and then we'll do it together. So the first thing you do is just sit comfortably and have your feet on the floor and just sit for a moment or two. We'll just sit for a moment and let ourselves breathe. Let's just do an inhale and an exhale. And then we're going to do this. We're going to bring our arms up and then we're going to come back down with a thump and we're going, huh. I mean, it just takes that stress and completely demolishes it. And you don't do it over and over again. You don't do this for 10 times in a row. You might do this once every few hours just to de-stress. And it's beautiful. It's not meditation, but it does create that open mind. So let's try to do that all together. I know you guys are game. So come on and let's all put our arms up on the inhale and thump on down and go, ah. Yes. And I hope you feel the release that I feel every time that I do this. And that's just one little thing. We'll be doing some breathing exercises, some body awareness exercises, some meditation, and even some writing exercises. So I'm just so honored and grateful to be here today and to answer any questions that the two of you or anybody in the audience, anybody who's joined us has that they want to ask. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
Okay, that was an extremely moving as well as encouraging presentation. And yes, it does all tie into mindfulness, doesn't it? And the fact that you were able just to tie in your personal story, and for me, that helps me understand why you are so passionate, about helping people change their life. I don't see any questions right now. but I'm wondering more about the your podcast. I think people really would be interested in it. So how long will the podcast in this mindfulness series, how long will that last about?
Yeah, well, we've just released 2 episodes. We released a pilot episode and we released the first episode last Tuesday. And this Tuesday, and that was on the mindfulness and habit change connection.
Mm.
And this Tuesday, we're releasing episode 2 on cultivating mindfulness.
Oh,
So we have a whole host of, we have a lot of material to share because there is a lot to mindfulness that can be done simply, easily. You don't have to join a monastery. You don't have to retire, so we have a lot to share. So we're going to be going for a while. I'll just say that.
great.
We have each podcast episode has a main recording, then it has the meditation piece, and then it has a PDF workbook so that everyone can use it, do a little writing and reflection on a habit they want to change. And the whole idea is you could take one habit and work it through these episodes and be able to help you deepen your commitment to change, sustain it. And, let's face it, we all make mistakes and there's stumbling blocks along the way and nobody's perfect. So, we will be going, our series overall is a 12-week series on habit change and mastering change and making really better choices. So I'm going to hedge my bets on how many of these episodes are going to be on mindfulness because who knows, I might get an inspiration to take us off in a little bit different direction after a while.
I
And tell
think that's
everyone
exciting.
where you can find your podcast.
Excuse me?
Tell everyone where you can find your podcast.
Yes, you can find the podcast on the Sweet Life Wellness website, which is sweetlifewellness.com. You can go to Facebook and you can go to the Sweet Life Wellness Facebook page. Just scroll down to the posts, the most recent posts. And you can also go to YouTube under Kay Lowry and also under Living Your Sweet Life. And you can also sign up on the website, the Sweet Life Wellness website. You can also subscribe to get weekly notifications on Tuesdays when the podcasts come out. Thank you for asking that so people will know where to go.
Exactly. And we're going to, over the next few days, we're going to include your podcast information, where people can go on our website as well under resources on iawh.org. So you've already mentioned, sweetlifewellness.com, and we want to sort of reiterate what Kay's already mentioned, that she will be joining us next week for a full hour presentation that will include question and answer, but she'll be talking about mindfulness and transforming habits. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And that's next Sunday, same place, here on Facebook Live. And you just follow our handle, which is Advancing Her Health on Facebook. Make sure you share with others. It's great information, as you can tell by today's presentation. And you can register at iawh.org and also just jump online at 3 p.m. and we will be there. The three of us, along with you. We look forward to seeing you. Kay, do you have any parting words for anyone?
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait for next week because it's really going to be a way for people to, put their toe in the water or dive into the material. So I'm just so excited to be able for us to do this together. And, I really feel that this is all about women's empowerment. About not putting ourselves at the bottom of our priority list. Someday after, our kids are grown up, we'll take care of ourselves, or our grandkids, aren't living at home with us, or whatever we're dealing with, because women are such good caregivers. We we love to help other people, and we kind of let our own self-care slide. And it just doesn't have to be that cumbersome. We can find some easy ways to do it if only we're willing to take a stand for ourselves.
Mm, I love that.
Yes.
That is awesome. So, well, I guess I'll bid everyone adieu from Kay, Cheryl, and myself. We hope that you have a great rest of your Sunday and that you choose to join us next Sunday at 3 p.m. right here. And we'll be talking about mindfulness and transforming habits. Thank you very much, and you have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.